Welcome to Season 7 of CX in the Wild. We're happy to have you back on the adventure with us again.
Thank you for joining us on CX in the Wild live at CCW. Brent, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. You're so kind. You're like, what is this guy doing? So this is CX in the Wild. It's really about sharing the voices and wisdom of people in the customer experience industry. We reached out to you because we thought you would be a great voice, and it's just an honor to have you here today.
For sure. Thank you. Definitely appreciate the opportunity.
So let's talk about who you are and what you do.
All right. So my name is Brent Nelson, and I am actually the Vice President of the Virtual Communication Center at a credit union out of Houston called Wellby Financial. So within our Virtual Communication Center, we house both the contact center and the e-branch teams, therefore being a full service center for our membership of 130,000.
Just wow. I'm a Texan myself, so it's so nice to be hanging out with you today. Let's put some context around this. So how long have you been in the industry?
So I've been in the financial services industry for the last 15 years, anywhere from private lending, personal loans, all the way up to the credit union space now.
Okay. And I guess what I'm curious about is the financial industry and credit unions. I'll be honest with you, I don't talk to very many people from this sector.
Okay.
And I'm very curious, what's happening in your sector these days? What are you seeing? What are you tackling? Challenges, accomplishments? Give us a sense of your sector of the industry.
So a really big thing for us right now is digital transformation and, just trying to implement all of the new technologies, really keeping up with other competitors. And also we're not only competing with other credit unions and banks, but we're competing with, other companies such as like Hilton and Marriott, that is so technologically advanced in their contact centers and the way that they communicate with their customer base. It's become something that customers, regardless of what business that they're doing, they expect those same technologies and all of those different aspects whenever they come to do a transaction. So that is something that we're currently trying to make sure that we're staying at the top of the game, that we're, implementing state-of-the-art features, so that we remain competitive in our field.
It's so wise of you to recognize that customers are being educated and becoming more savvy from all their experiences. And credit unions, your whole ethos is a little bit different than normal B2C transactional banking. I worked on the customer experience for Wells Fargo for some time, and the whole financial transaction industry is different. One of the things I'll just throw out to you to see if it's similar, but one of the things we recognized in that work was there's fast banking and slow banking. There's people who want to get in and check their deposit, get their deposit, and then there's people who want to talk to someone. You're nodding your head. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And that's something that we battle all of the time. And I'll be speaking later today, like the generational gaps, right? So you have you have members that they want the quick in and out, right? They want the Zelle, they want the Cash App. But then you've also got those members, right, that are trying to actually come into a branch, or whenever they call in, they want to speak to a live agent, right? Because they miss the personal interaction. So for us as an organization, that's something that, you can't just be one or the other. You have to really dial into what your membership needs. And, honestly be able to offer all of those different aspects. So if they want to come in and they want to spend, 15, 20 minutes in an office talking with a team member, we're able to allow them to do that, right? If they want to call in and just check their balance and have a quick 15, 20-second interaction, that's fine. If they want to use our virtual assistant to get that information so that they don't have to speak to a human, we've got that covered as well.
And that really goes full circle back to what you were saying about transformation. Mm-hmm. And digital transformation so many times means getting away from humans, but you're not talking about that. What does transformation really mean to you?
For us, transformation is just really being able to meet the members and the customers where they are, where they want to be. One thing about our current technology that we're implementing now is a prime example is you're on your lunch break, right? And so you need to call in and do a transaction with us at the credit union. Your lunch break is 30 minutes. Your transaction is going to be about 45 minutes, right? Because it's something, maybe you're opening a new account, you're closing a new account, maybe you're doing paperwork for some kind of transfer or a mortgage, right? So your lunch breaks ends, And then, so what do you say? Like, okay, I'm going to have to call back tomorrow, or I'm going to have to call back when I get off of work? No. With our technology now, we can say, okay, Dennis, you're going to have to go back in off your lunch now. Let us go ahead. Can you text? If you say that you can text, we'll go ahead and just hit a button and we meet you where you are, right? So you never have to stop that process. You never have to stop that transaction until it's complete, because the last thing that you want is to ever have to stop in the middle of a transaction and then call back in, because it's never going to be a smooth transition. Someone's always going to be trying to catch up onto what you called in for. So,
all right. So I need to get in on this. So you're the first person I've ever heard who's actually in the midst of this new meeting the customer on their journey. Everyone talks about it. Everybody can describe it, but no one has a use case other than like chat to phone or whatever that, but usually it's chat to phone, not phone to text. So that's very cool. How long have you been working on this thing?
We have actually been vetting our technology and all of our vendors for honestly the last 18 to 24 months. We are going to be going live with all of our technology and rolling out all of our new aspects July 1st. We've literally went from zero technology to like all of the things, because that's how dedicated that we are to ensuring that we have incredible member experiences. And another aspect of that is not only focusing on the member experiences, but improving our team member experiences. Because at the end of the day, it is all about, you can never achieve the member experience that you want until you create that incredible team member experience, because it all just trickles down.
So we don't know each other. We're just meeting today. But I've spent the last year going around the world interviewing frontline agents in like third world countries, right, to hear their voices, to bring their voices to the conversation. And every time anyone turns the podcast interview back towards the agents or to the employees, it really tugs at a heartstring, because it's so true.
Yeah.
Some people want to talk about AI. They want to talk about speeds and feeds and data and analytics. And I always just wonder with those people, well, what about the humans? What about the people who do this? You can't optimize everything. Like some of it really is just emotions and relationships. Absolutely. So what you're saying is near and dear to my heart. What do you think people should be focusing on? So one of the things we try to do on this podcast is leave nuggets, your wisdom. People are going to be listening. They're going to say, all right, Brent is in the midst of transformation. He's been at it for 18 months or so. Right. He's about to launch what he's described as a truly actual transformative customer experience, where we don't have to stutter in the multi-channel. We can move from one to the other. It has a high degree of empathy, because the customer understands that you understand who they are, and you're doing this. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anyone recently be this far ahead. What is your mentality for success? How do you stay in the game? Because so many of these things are about you get in there and then you get thrown off the horse. How do you stay on the horse?
Right. So, on our journey to implementing all this new technology, a lot of the time, most companies will say, hey, like we're focused on the member experience, right? Or the customer experience. And however true that needs to be, right? Like that should always be a priority. But for me, my number one priority was to make sure that I'm focusing on that team member experience, right? Because so often we forget about the users. Like we forget about the people that are creating these moments. And, and if they are stressed out or they're struggling or, they're having to do 75 different processes and we're doing nothing to help them streamline those, then, ultimately that's going to, really defeat what we're trying to do with the technology, which is make our member experiences incredible, above and beyond, and efficient. On our journey also to picking our product suite whenever it came to our technology, a lot of the times in these vendor meetings, they were like, okay, so this credit union does this or this bank does this. And I remember stopping one of them in a demo and I said, I don't want to be like that credit union. That's not who I'm in competition with. Like, I want to rival the Hiltons. I want to rival the Marriott brands, right? Those brands, whenever you call in, you never get any anxiety because you know that they're going to handle your call in the way that you want it to be handled, right? They care about your experience so much that there's almost nothing that they won't do for you to have a first call resolution, and they won't pass you off to anyone else, right? They may put you on hold. They may reach out to someone else, but they're not going to cold transfer you. They're not even going to warm transfer you. They're going to resolve your issue, whatever it takes. And, for us, like whenever our members call in, or we have other people that call in, maybe they're from a dealership or they're just doing finance and, from an indirect perspective, I want them to become so familiar with how amazing our customer service is that they are rushing to go and open up an account with us and become a new member. So that is probably the main takeaway, is really just don't forget your people and don't forget to create those above and beyond moments that create the memorable experiences.
Brent, it just so happens today on the podcast, or it might be tomorrow, the head of customer care for Marriott and the head of customer care for Intercontinental Hotels, not Hilton, but Intercontinental Hotels, also an amazing leader in her own right. It feels like one of the things I can do as a gesture of gratitude for you being on this show is after the show, I'll connect you directly with those leaders, because I think you would really enjoy sharing notes and understanding maybe what they think about as they go into their customer experience strategy and planning. Would that be a good?
Oh, I would absolutely love that and definitely appreciate it, because really from any industry perspective, those brands are the ones to be, right? Those brands are the ones to compete with or to even level up to. So I would definitely appreciate that.
I am going to make sure that you get those introductions. Again, this is what we do on CX in the Wild, is we just try to bring people together to share their wisdom. So I'll connect you with those. Before we wrap it up today, I'd love to know, because you've gone from zero to hero with your technology, you're a humble guy and you're chuckling, but I think what we're really talking about there is perhaps 2 years ago, you recognized that it was time to make a move, and then you've been all in. But my question is for the audience, what are the 3 sort of priority platforms or technologies or solution that you said, these 3 are the ones that will really help us get from where we are now to where we want to be quickly?
So for the contact center industry, one of the biggest challenges is fraud and risk.
Yeah.
And for us, we wanted to have technology that would help us to offset that. So whenever we were, going through and creating our products, we chose a new telephony platform, which is our base that would allow us to, once again, meet our members and our customers where they are. So we can go from a phone call directly into a text, directly into a chat, directly into video conferencing. We can screen share. We can now help members in all of those different aspects. The second layer was, of course, our workforce management software and platform that helps us with scheduling. It also helps us with quality assurance to do real-time quality monitoring based off of sentiment and a lot of different aspects, so that we can tell literally in 2 to 5 seconds what the call, like, what is the sentiment? Like, is it elevated? Is there a lot of anxiety? Is this going to be a happy call, right? Is this going to be a bad call? Is there something that we can do to jump in as a leadership team to really create a new resolve or a different outcome versus how it came into, our contact center? And then, of course, the third aspect is, getting back to the fraud, verification for customers to ensure that we're offsetting fraud and risk has become, a layer for us that is so exhausting. And although our metrics within our contact center are comparable and even beat, a lot that are in our space, it's on average taking us about 3.5 minutes to verify a member or a customer. And with our new technology, we're doing voice authentication. So we are super stoked that, like, we're hoping that it's going to, take our member verification down to around like 10 or 15 seconds. So that's just how much more time that we're going to be able to give back to our members and or spend building relationships with them rather than just trying to get them access to their account.
Wow. Was it hard to get stakeholder buy-in or budget approvals or alignment across silos? Was there a key? Was there something? Because so many times we see that people are like, they don't really do it until they have to.
Right.
Was that, or is your group just amazing visionaries? And
so we have an incredible leadership team, from our CEO and president all the way down. And, and they have been so super supportive of all of my efforts. I've been with the company with Wellby since 2021. During that year, 8 months after I started, we went through a rebrand.
Oh.
And the rebrand, for a company that had been the same since 1961, you can just tell how incredibly emotional members and even team members were right with the change. And so going through a lot of those different obstacles when we started this journey to really replace our technology, everyone was already on board because we were all experiencing the same thing. We were seeing it real time, how that we needed to help our members and we needed to improve the experience. So by the time that it got to selecting the final vendors, we already had all of the buy-in. Everyone, once again, was super supportive because, they could just see the transformation that it was going to do for us.
So yeah, the change was afoot and you just all leaned in.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Well, Brent, tell me before we go today, what's your favorite thing about the CCW show?
The CCW show so far that I've enjoyed is just really connecting with other leaders. We see them all the time on LinkedIn. We see a ton of different leaders that we aspire to be like them. We aspire to be able to, to post like them or interact, or even do podcasts the way that they do. And so just being able to be here and get one-on-one time with them, oh my God, I recognize you from LinkedIn, right? And so then you start having those conversations. And so how are you so successful? And hearing those stories, right? I think that is probably the most impactful thing for me so far.
It really is the best place in the world to mingle with all the movers and shakers of the industry. Because you've been so gracious with your time, we basically tracked you down. My producers were like, get this guy on the show. So thank you for putting up with that. My one other sort of reciprocal thing is if people will be able to see your LinkedIn when I post this, is there something people can reach out and help you with? Is it any kind of advice or knowledge from the CX community, the global voices of CX? Is there something, if somebody's on their journey and they're like, I really like that guy, Brent, I want to throw a bone his way, what are you looking for, advice or connections or?
Listen, so from both aspects, right? If there's anyone that can help me on my journey, I am very open to feedback at all times. One of our favorite words in our space is pivot. And, sometimes it gets on my leaders' nerves, right? But the thing is we have to be able to pivot at all times because we are an ever-changing industry. So, of course, I welcome the feedback. Second of all, if anyone, they need any advice, they need any help. One of my favorite things also about CCW is that you get a chance to hear best practices. You get a chance to hear because people are open and honest about things that didn't work, right? And so if that was on my list of to-do, then that's something, by hearing their stories, it can help me mitigate and avoid those same mistakes or those same outcomes and really try to find a different resolve. I was at a conference back in April in Phoenix, and we heard so many different stories about trying to roll out new software, new technology, and then what it did to teams, what it did to the organizations, how that they had to go and roll that back. Some of those things were on our list. So we completely went and revisited that, right? And had to re-strategize so that we didn't end up making the same mistakes. So I think that that's one of the biggest things here. And so if I can help someone else do that, once again, that's why you go through things in life, right? So you can help someone else avoid those.
Well said. Brent, thank you so much for being here, being our guest on CX in the Wild.
For sure.
We will be sharing your story and ways that you can interact with the community. But even more importantly, while we're at this show, I'm going to get you. I happen to just be texting with the head of customer service for Marriott. So I know she's around here. So okay. I'll be sure I get you two together. But thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like to access other podcasts, YouTube videos, or join Dennis on other adventures around the world, be sure to connect with us at www.globalvoiceofcx.com. Until next time, stay curious.